Hello everyone. Today I'm somewhere deep in County 018, that is Nyandarua County, and I want to visit a few towns in the area, maybe 2 or 3, and see how everything is faring. Specifically, we'll check whether these towns are growing or not, whether business are thriving, and how the people live out here. Remember, this is not your ordinary county. Foremost, this is rural Kenya. And one thing that really caught my eye before coming here is that close to 50% of the population are children aged 0 to 14, and that only 1% of the population use LPG gas to cook, while 0.2% use electricity. Well, that is according to the Kenyan Bureau of Statistics. I'll be telling you more about that. But before we hit our first town in the county, let me take this opportunity to welcome you to our YouTube channel, Village to Town, a channel that is dedicated to continue showcasing beautiful villages, towns, and cities across the continent of Africa. For those who have been with us knows that our journey started in Kiambu County, where we covered a whole sub-county, and it will continue that way, moving from a village to towns. But today you have just decided to throw in a bonus to break the monotony, a trend that will continue, where we'll be visiting random counties from time to time, while the continuous series continue until we hit all the 290 constituencies across the country. And so if you have not yet subscribed, please take your time and show some love by hitting the subscription button so that we can move on this journey together. As you can see, the place is quite scenic and I love it. And we are approaching our first town, which is just a mere shopping center that has just developed on one side of the road and goes by the name Tigoni. Yes, you heard me right. The name is borrowed from a village in Kiambu near Limuru. And I'm told the small town started in the late 90s as a settlement for farmhands in the nearby flower farm, but has since ceased operation, leaving the small town in ruins. Our first town in the list is only 1 minute away, and it is one of the biggest towns in Kipipiri subcounty. But before getting there, let's enjoy this scenic beauty. I find the place quite fascinating. You can see the majestic Abadares Ranges on the left. Sometimes it's called Mount Kipipiri, but it's part of the 160-kilometer long Abadares Ranges and touches 5 counties in central Kenya, which include Nyandarua, Nyeri, Murang'a, Kiambu, and Laikipia. A story goes that the mountain got the name Aberdares from a British explorer, Joseph Thomson, in 1884, who, after landing here, he likened the place with his native Scotland, especially in terms of the cold climate and vegetation, and named it in the honor of Lord Aberdares. On a lighter note, don't be cheated by the beautiful sunset. The place is quite cold, and I'm told it gets crazier around the months of June and July. It rains almost every day here, and it is not uncommon to see hailstorm, which some people confuses as snow. The locals, a majority of whom are Kikuyus, refers to the mountain as Nyandarua, which loosely translates to drying cow skins, due to the distinctive folds of the ranges. And so it is safe to say that the county is named after the mountain. Our first major small town is around the corner. Actually, we'll be hitting the town center after negotiating 2 or 3 corners. You can see the beginning of a small civilization on the right, and our town goes by the name Mawingu. It has a very fascinating story. I highlighted its existence in one of our videos, but today we are going to dive in. We will drive around and see what's up. And remember, the town is part of Mawingu settlement scheme. And one of the fascinating things that I read before coming here is that Nyandarua is a county of settlers. Did you know that? History goes that the entire county was occupied by the white settlers who had obtained it from the Maasai through a treaty. But after the Mau Mau War, which saw the end of the colonial government in 1963, the incoming government, led by one Jomo Kenyatta, subdivided the entire county into settlement scheme, thereby settling natives that had been displaced in the Rift Valley and central Kenya. This tells you that unlike in other counties in Kenya, where people can trace their roots before the establishment of the colonial government in the 1800s, no one in Nyandarua can claim that this was their ancestral home before the colonial government. Well, let me get into the town and shelve the story for another day, since some people tend to get emotional when the issue of land is mentioned. But I know now you are in the know as far as the history of this county is concerned. Now back to Mawingu town, and as you can see, the town is thriving, and you can see the beautiful mountain on the background. Actually, the town is built on the slopes, and one disadvantage that comes with that is that the town is quite chilly, especially in the evening and towards the night, where cold breeze flows from the mountain. And I'm told that sometimes the temperature can go to as low as 3 degrees. And so if you ever find yourself here at night, you'll need a heavy blanket. And I want you to count the number of people in the video without jackets or sweater, or those that are not wearing capes or covering their heads with something. And trust you me, they'll be less than 20%. I told you to not be fooled by the beautiful sunlight. It is quite chaotic outside, especially due to the fact that it is towards the evening. Actually, it is around 5:30 p.m. on a beautiful Tuesday, and there is this old timer in front of me who is well prepared for the weather, and I don't want to scare him by hooting, so I'll wait. Of course, he's a bit scared after noticing me. The downside about it is that most people think that you are not seeing them just because they were absent-minded, but the good thing about it is that you don't scare people to death, as it can be highly scary, especially when someone hoots to you when you are up close. Enough with the road shenanigans, and this is the official bus stop, which was recently built by the local government, but the local public transport vehicles have not yet adopted it, since it's a bit far from the main road, but the locals are using it as the parking lot. One of the things that has really caught my eye in this village town is that most shops are open, which has not been the case in most shopping centers we've visited in rural Kiambu. Actually, you can go and check some of them that we have covered in our journey series in this channel. And you can see that most buildings are not that old, despite the fact that the town was started during the colonial era. And as I told you, today I'm not in a rush, so I'm not scaring anybody. And I can see the gentleman in blue is quite absent-minded. Maybe he's thinking about his girlfriend back in school or the hard economic life, which has become obvious in the country. Well, a man got to think. And as we leave our town for the next, it is good to note that Mawingu town got its name from the clouds. Actually, Mawingu is Swahili for clouds. And as you can see, the sky, the area is worth its name, as it is well blessed with clouds, which mostly results from the fact that it is next to a rainforest. Well, in less than a minute, we'll be hitting our second town, which is quite big, especially when compared to the Mawingu town that we have just left. And it is good to note that it serves as the subcounty headquarters, and so I hope it's worth its name. It is good to note that we are in Kipipiri constituency, which was once popular for being home to one Amos Kimunya, the former majority leader of the National Assembly, who also served under the Kibaki government as a cabinet minister. The guy also served as a member of parliament for this area for 15 years, making him the longest serving. And one of his legacies, I'm told, is lobbying for this very road. The road was tarmacked around 2008, and it opened the entire county, as it stretches from Kinangop all the way to Nakuru. Our second town is on site, and it's on the left, although it is built on the interior, meaning that we'll have to branch off from the main road and drive a few meters to get to the town center, although there are new developments along the main road, which is quite commendable, considering that the town has taken many years to develop along the road, despite the fact that the internal roads are not tarmacked. The town goes by the name Miharati, and it is about 105 kilometers north of Nairobi, and as I told you, it is the sub-county headquarters. The name Miharati is loosely translated to troughs in Kikuyu language, and history goes that there was a very big pyrethrum drying factory in the town, which was established in the colonial era and survived a few years after independence, but the factory later died after the industry collapsed in the 1990s. It is said that outside the factory there were very many pyrethrum holding troughs, which were designed to hold the flowers before they were taken to the factory, and that's how the locals named the town Miharati. I want to get to the town center and see how things are faring, but as you can see from the outside, the town is quite busy. Everyone is going about their business, which is quite amazing for a rural shopping center, although it's quite cloudy and it may rain any time from now. And like in our previous town, most shops are open, and so it seems like it might be hard to get a vacant shop here, especially if you are interested in starting a business in this part of the country. You can also see the types of sheep they rear here. Most of them have thick fur, and the cold conditions explain it all. And so these are the type of sheep that need a shaving after 1 or 2 months, which means you have to be on top of your game if you have to succeed as a farmer in this area. Before I give you the numbers, let me give you a list of the prominent people that come from this area. And topping the list is one Muthoni Kirumba, aka Baby Top. She is a sensational presenter in a vernacular radio station who is quite popular for not being afraid to speak her mind or to start small controversy to keep things moving. Well, that's Baby Top for you. Let's quickly check out the numbers. And the sub-county has a total population of 93,855 people. That was as of 2019 general census. And for the population density, there are 205 people per square kilometer. And one of the things that really caught my eye when I was going through the Kenya Bureau of Statistics data is that the population is shrinking. In fact, the government found that between 2009 and 2019, the annual population changed by negative 0.16%. So this is quite mind-boggling, considering that this is considered as one of the vote-rich counties in the country. And actually, this is the first constituency since we started our journey to see a shrinking population in the country. But that area needs more research, as we can only speculate why the population is shrinking. This is because there are dozens of factors that can lead to low population in an area, including migrations to other parts of the country. And after further analysis of the statistics, I found that Nyandarua County has a child-rich population, where those aged from 0 to 14 years constitute 43% of the total population. However, despite the high number of children, the government noted that the county is at the onset of fertility decline, as 43% of households have 0 to 3 household members. This means that in Nyandarua, most families have father, mother, and a child. And in case of a single parent, there is the parent and 2 children. Remember, that is the statistics for the entire county, which has 5 sub-counties, with Kipipiri being one of them. In case of the gender distribution, 49.1% are males, while 50.9% are females. Well, the distribution is quite natural, with the number of intersex being only 2 in the entire sub-county, which is a bit low, especially when compared to other sub-counties in Nairobi area and Kiambu. For instance, we found that the Kiamba area had 15 people identifying as intersex as of 2019, with 13 of them concentrated in Karuri area. And one thing as a statistics enthusiast that I do love about the numbers is that they tell stories that no one would. Another piece of statistics that I found interesting about the area is that out of the 93,000 people, 393 were aged 90 plus years. This was quite commendable, considering that Kiamba sub-county, which is in Kiambu County, had a population almost triple that of Kipipiri, but only 346 people are aged 90 and above. This is quite mind-boggling for those of us who live in urban centers, including me, which means that hitting 90 might be an uphill task, especially when compared to those living in rural Kenya. That's not according to me, but according to statistics. The gap is also seen among those aged 65 years and above, as for Kiamba, which had a total population of 236,000 people, there were 7,000 people, while Kipipiri, with a population of 93,000, had 6,196 people aged 65 and above. Another controversial data I found about the county is that only 18% of the people work for pay. This includes all those that are employed or those that in businesses. In short, the 18% include anyone that is working for money. Well, before you judge the county's level of unemployment, only 3.5% indicated that they have no work. The rest of the population is involved in family agriculture holding, which is about 50%, while those retired only make 4.6% of the population, and full-time students are 13.7%. The number of people working for pay in Nyandarua is a bit low, especially when compared to Nairobi County, which has the highest at 49%. This means that almost everyone here has something to do, except that it is not for money. And so it's like you are always busy grazing your own cows or farming to feed your own children. And I find that quite fulfilling, although money is important too. And so I would really love to know your thoughts on the issue. And so please tell us on the comment section below. In terms of housing, well, the area is doing quite well, as only 0.8% have grass thatched houses. 95% have corrugated iron sheets, which is quite commendable considering that this is rural Kenya. And that leads us to our real estate segment, where most people prefer owning home than renting, although renting is now common, especially due to the growing urban centers. And to get an acre of land, you will need between 1.5 million to 2 million Kenya shillings, depending on its location. Thank you for watching, and if you have watched the video this far, it means that you somehow like what we are doing, and so kindly consider supporting us by subscribing to our YouTube channel, Village to Town. It's absolutely free of charge. Like the video so that it can be recommended to as many people as possible. Also consider smashing the notification bell so that every time we post, you will be among the first few people to be notified. I would also want to acknowledge and appreciate the Village to Town gang, which is growing in crazy numbers. I appreciate the love. And whether you are watching us from abroad or from here in Kenya, just feel appreciated. Keep the conversation going. Tell us, what do you think about our rural towns today? Would you consider living here? And what do you think is ailing Kipipiri population? Tell us on the comment section below. Thank you.